members from the House of Lords, business leaders, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Oasis chairperson, Mr. Mohammed Shaheen Ibrahim, the deputy chairperson, Mr. Nazim Ibrahim, and the chief executive officer, Mr. Adam Ibrahim, as well as the entire Ibrahim family, management and staff at the Oasis Group, it is indeed an honour and privilege to welcome you all here on the official launch of Oasis Crescent into the United Kingdom. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury, your host for the evening, which will include a keynote address by Lord Mohammed Sheikh, the chance to view on film the extraordinary journey that Oasis has taken over the last 15 years, a very special welcome from the Chief Executive, Mr. Adam Ibrahim, as well as an exclusive lineup of entertainment.
أنت نور على نور أنت مصباح الثريا يا حبيبي يا رسول طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع.
Now, this evening is a momentous occasion for the Oasis team, and each and every one of them is delighted to have you here to share this historic milestone. Earlier this week, the group marked the formal opening of its London office, but this evening is really about celebrating the brand. It's about meeting like-minded individuals and building new and existing relationships, and it's about learning exactly what Oasis do and exactly why they've chosen to bring their unique wealth management solutions to London. I'd like to now call upon Mr. Adnan Ibrahim, brother to the directors of the Oasis Group, to open the proceedings with a short prayer or dua. Mr. Adnan Ibrahim.
وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Success comes from Allah. This is not a beginning, but a continuation and expansion of his and my brother's vision that started a long time ago and has reached fruition for all those involved or connected to Oasis. We ask Allah to continue to grant success to this venture and to guide all who are part of it, family, clients, and staff. And we ask Allah to let this enterprise be of benefit to all that are involved and to let the benefits reach those most in need. We ask Allah to put nur in the kubur of all the deceased, especially our grandparents and our blessed and beloved father and all our deceased family. And we ask Allah to bless our parents, especially our dear mother Maryam, who is here tonight, and all our children and wives. And we ask Allah to keep us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim and ask you, O Allah, to bless all of us as part of the gathering to praise and thanks to you. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل واكم أمورنا بالخير بيدك الخير والعافية إنك على كل شيء قدير. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وصحبه بارك وسلم.
Now, honoured guests, it is my privilege to introduce the keynote guest speaker for the evening. He holds a seat in the House of Lords. He is the chairperson of the Conservative Muslim Forum and is a staunch advocate of Islamic finance, both within the House of Lords and the House of Commons. His illustrious career in the financial industry is exemplary, and Oasis are honoured to have him here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lord Mohammed Iltaf Sheikh.
Rahmanir Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, good evening. Assalamu alaikum. And I thought I saw a Sikh gentleman. Sat Sri Akal to you, sir. I'm pleased to speak to you at this event as we celebrate Oasis Crescent's expansion into the United Kingdom market and the opening of their new offices in London. I would like to thank Mr. Adam Ibrahim, for inviting me to speak here tonight. I think events such as this play a particularly important role in helping facilitate dialogue between our various community leaders, politicians, and the business community. Don't be too familiar with London's history as one of the world's leading financial centers, hence why Oasis Crescent's expansion to London was only a matter of time, and this is to be welcomed. The particular focus of this evening is to acknowledge the company's commitment to social responsibility and Islamic wealth management. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently living at a time when we are suffering as a result of bad financial practices and lack of prudence. Since 2008, the world has suffered as a result of greed and bad practices amongst the banks. Over the last week, we were made aware of further bad practices relating to fixing of interest and mis-selling by banks. The Prime Minister today has made a statement about the bad practices, and the government will undertake an independent review of the whole situation, and the perpetrators, I'm sure, will be punished if it is found that they have committed a criminal act. It is important, therefore, that we think more carefully about the long-term social impacts of how we manage our wealth. In recent years, long-term stability and ethics have been dropped at the expense of short-term gain and greed. I believe now is a time for reflection and to look at how we conduct our business professionally, ethically, and we need to be transparent in whatever we do. Transparency is a very important factor. My hope is that with companies like Oasis Crescent, they will take a lead in encouraging this great sense of responsibility and community engagement, and hopefully they will move forward from strength to strength. And I was saying this to Adam Sahib, that if their intent is good, if their niyat is good, Allah will certainly help them to grow their business, because their principles and their ideas are ethical, and it's very, very important in the present climate that we conduct business professionally, ethically, and with moral responsibility.
After the launch event, Islam Channel's Dan Poulton caught up with Oasis Crescent founders Adam and Nazim Ibrahim to find out more about their decision to break into the UK market.
Perhaps you could just take us back a bit and talk about the journey that Oasis has come on to get here.
We started in South Africa in Oasis Investment Management as an investment management firm, regulated by the Financial Services Board in South Africa. And as we went along and we added further regulatory companies, we now have 9 regulatory companies in South Africa, covering the whole of the wealth management spectrum. Okay, so you can come to us with your pre-retirement investment savings money and your post-retirement investment savings money. So we have an insurance, linked insurance company, we have unit trust management company savings, we have retail retirement funds, we have wholesale retirement funds. So we cover the whole gamut. Okay, then in 2002, we went into Ireland, okay, and we own our own UCITS management company in Ireland, and we also own our own 2 fund PLCs with the two ranges of products. We're pretty proud of that business because we don't outsource any of the administration. Everything's done in-house, and it's UCITS 4 compliant. Okay, We've just entered the UK market. Our office is 2 months old, right? And we have an advisory license. And going down the road, there are many others to come to satisfy the wealth management aspirations of the UK investing public.
The UK is a financial hub of the world. Great infrastructure, great people, great regulatory focus, and a track record of delivering financial wealth management and banking solutions. And so it's a great place to be. Yet the Muslim population, according to the 2001 census, is 1.7. According to latest estimates, about 2.5 million people, which equates to about 3% of the population, which equates to a wealth management opportunity of between 120 and 200 billion at least. And yet, today, as we stand in this financial hub of the world, the Muslims only have 700 million pounds invested to protect their wealth against inflation and growing it. That is only 0.5% of the potential is being realized. And therefore, it's incumbent on us to solve that problem, provide a solution, and grow that so that Muslims are adequately prepared for their retirement, are adequately prepared against inflation, are adequately prepared to save for pilgrimage, for education, amongst others. And then why 2012? 2012 is the year that we were supposed to arrive. It was set out for us. Not a day, not a second earlier or later. It's also the year of the Jubilee. It's the year of the Olympics, and therefore the year of Oasis.
It's also, of course, the year of continuing crisis in the Eurozone. So presumably there were some challenges there. How does Oasis position itself amongst the chaos that's going around in the wider European situation?
So Europe, I think, let's put it so far out of the outfield, okay? It is not a problem that we should be focused on, okay? We should be focused on the fact that Muslims are totally, the ordinary Muslims, are totally unprepared for retirement because they have no inflation age assets. Secondly, there are those Muslims that do invest in an ISA or SIP or PIP, whatever the case may be, mutual fund. And 99% of Muslims who invest that way are taking halal money that they've worked hard and they're investing it in these institutions and products. And by the way, 10% may be in alcoholic beverages, another 5% may be in casinos, another 15% could be in non-permissible food stuff. And by the way, that's 30%. And by the way, another 30% could be invested in riba-related instruments. So that's what, 60% of your wealth that is converted from permissible to non-permissible. And then when you retire and get a pension from your company pension plan, they buy a 30-year government bond and they pay you from the capital and interest. So when you retire at the age of 60 as a Muslim, nearly 100% of your income is non-permissible. That's what we've got to worry about. That's the dilemma. So Europe, let's first deal with these issues. And it's my job as a wealth manager to worry about Europe, and my job to provide a solution to the inflation hedge asset. My job is to provide a solution to making sure that Muslims have an alternative to non-compliant product.
From the time we started, we've styled ourselves as ethical investment managers in both the Sharia compliant space and in the conventional space. It's in our blood, and that's the mandate, mission in Arabic, they have words for it, the amana, okay? In every language, they have a word for your instruction from the person who gave you the mandate, okay? And the person who's giving you the mandate says, I want ethical funds. Then you've got your own corporate governance and your conscience, and you're saying, I'm going to meet that demand going forward. And that's what we've been doing from inception, okay? We don't only want to be seen to doing the right thing, we want to do the right thing, okay? Because ultimately, there's a God above, okay, who looks at everything that we do on a daily and minute by minute basis, okay, second by second basis. And I don't want to fool around with that aspect of my life. You know, I hold that aspect of my life dearly. So what comes out of my mouth with regard to how I'm going to deal with my clients and is going to have to fit into that aspect. And that aspect tells me that you've got to act ethically. So it's part of our makeup.
It's interesting, this the dimension, the ethical dimension, if you will, the moral dimension, because to make a generalisation, it's not something that most wealth managers, one imagines, are particularly taking into account when they are performing these sorts of services. But this is something that Oasis, as an Islamic financial organisation, is committed to doing. What sort of growth and economic activity do you think is necessary, and would Oasis want to see themselves associated with?
So I think there are two levels. There's those things that Muslims are not allowed to participate in because it's not allowed. Then the second level is that Islam is about ethics, is about sustainability, you know. So the first batch is quite easy to do. The second batch, through your due diligence and research, you need to find out whether the company is a good corporate citizen, whether it treats its labour well, whether it treats its customers well, whether it operates as a good corporate citizen. And if a company passes that, then you really got a great opportunity, and you're able to buy that opportunity cheaply, then it's a fantastic investment. If you buy a company that treats its labour badly, it's more likely to have bad productivity. It's more likely to have poor labour relations, which will again affect its competitive position and profitability. It's going to be a lousy investment. And secondly, there are those companies that may treat the environment badly. And, you know, the environmental rules and regulations are quite significant. And you just have to look at what happened with BP in the Gulf of Mexico. You know, it's what, 30, 40 billion pounds that process is going to cost. So again, you see what the BP share price has done as a result of that. So I think the real story is it is profitable to be ethical and compliant.
The whole question of Sharia finance is not only pork and alcohol. It's a far wider concept, okay? It's about the human interactions, it is about the business interactions, it is about the environmental interactions, all of those. So if we find the energy company that's destroying the Alaskan landscape by spilling oil and destroying the ocean next to it, you know, we're not going to invest in that company, because firstly, it's doing wrong. Secondly, it's destroying the environment. Thirdly, at the end of the day, the shareholders, if the regulatory authorities wake up, fine them, it's going to cost them huge amounts of money, and that's going to affect the bottom line of the share. So we'd rather not be involved in companies that flagrantly break the law, you know. And there is an ethical component in everything that we do.
Do you think there's an interest, perhaps even a growing interest, from non-Muslims into this sort of ethical investment?
You're going to be very surprised how many people from different faiths will buy Islamic products, because they demystified the whole concept of Sharia. They understand the concept of Sharia, and I can understand that, and they agree with what is not allowed in terms of the Sharia as the bottom line investments, and they feel comfortable with investing. So we found our experience in South Africa that there's about 20-25% of our client base who invest in our Sharia funds are not Muslim. They're there because they find the product structure and the ethics of the product to be acceptable to themselves. And we're going to find the same thing here, you know. I know that they say that ethical products was in vogue. I don't see why it shouldn't come back in vogue.
And you are entering a market where HSBC, although they invest in things like the arms trade, which presumably would be seen as not permissible, but they do have a Islamic banking sector, so they've thought about this, and you have competitors in the market. So how is Oasis placed in that?
We've been competing with organisations like HSBC for a very long time on the global environment, and in South Africa. Good competitors to have. It's important to have competition. It's important because it allows only the best to put product forward that the market will accept. It ensures that there's a pricing environment that consumers get good pricing. It ensures that the investor gets good returns. And so it's part of what we do. We compete with them every day. We've competed with them with 15 years at Oasis. I've competed in this space for 25 years. If you fear competition, then you shouldn't be in the game. What you should fear is the Almighty. Competition is just pure man-made, and we fear no man, and it creates opportunities for us. But I think even that is noise. All of that competition together has only attracted 0.5% of the marketplace. The other 99.5% is not serviced. So I don't think that we need to worry too much about the competition. We need to make sure we have great products. So let me talk about that for a second. So for what we're planning in the UK, phase one is to bring our 8 mutual funds into the UK. Now these funds have been around for 10, 12 years. So they're well established, great track record. The Crescent Global Equity Fund is the best global equity fund, and it's been like that rolling 5 years for the last 5 years. And it's the lowest risk fund, and so we're bringing a world-class product range that's in place. World-class service, the world-class infrastructure in place on day one. And our job now is to get that out into the marketplace, get people to know who we are, get people aware of their obligations to invest in an ethical and compliant way, and make sure we have the infrastructure to support that, which we do, and people to support that, which we do. That's step one. Step two, inshallah, will be to put the other products in place, like your ISAs and PIPs and SIPs, and that will take another 2 years. So that, inshallah, at the end of 2.5 years' time from the launch, which was 6 weeks ago, we should be able to address the full wealth management needs of the Muslim population, which includes the generational transfer of wealth. And that will most probably put us in a very competitive position. Even today, the 8 funds that we have, it's most probably the most comprehensive offering of any institution in the UK by a long order of magnitude. And when we complete that process of putting those additional SIPs, PIPs and ISAs in place, then we'd have completed the loop. And, you know, I think the Muslim population in the UK would then be well served by great products with a service provider, Oasis, has a track record of delivering sustained excellence, really focus on making sure the customer experience, the investor experience is a good one. And finally, you know, we're here to protect and grow the wealth of the Muslims. We're here to protect and grow the quality of life of Muslims. And finally, we want to do it in an ethical, compliant way, the Oasis way.